All right, so let's talk about condos. What's going on in the condo market in South Florida, really the entire state of Florida. And whether you're thinking about buying a condo or maybe even selling your condo, you're probably going to want to know this. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Living South Florida channel, where we make these videos to show you exactly what it's like to move to or live in the South Florida area. And we love making these videos, but even more than we love making these videos, we are a team of realtors here and we love the opportunity to earn your real estate business. So whether you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere in South Florida, we hope you get value and we'd love to connect with you. So feel free to reach out to us, call, text, or email. Go to the link in my description and book a Zoom call, and we'd be happy to connect with you. So I recently made a video talking about pros and cons of buying or owning a condo in South Florida. And if you've been paying attention to the news or not, or just keeping up with the market down here, there's a lot going on with condos right now, and it doesn't seem like it's gonna cool down anytime soon. Now, before we start, I just wanna say that this isn't anything unexpected what's going on right now. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you've probably heard me mention the new rules that are going into place by the end of 2024 in regards to condos, which we'll talk about those in a little bit. But we are approaching a lot of 40-year inspections on some of these buildings, and there's a lot of assessments going on right now. But assessments don't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It really does depend on what the assessments cover. Sometimes they don't make any sense. Sometimes they're renovating a lot of necessary things in the building, and it's almost like everything becomes brand new. But this is something that's actually happening all over the state. It's not only happening in South Florida, even though that's what I cover. It's happening all over the state, but it's very prevalent in the Miami area. So let's first start off with what is an assessment. And a condo assessment is basically just a fee that the owners pay to cover unexpected costs for repairs or upgrades. And this is not included in your monthly HOA fee. So this is a totally separate cost. And I did just mention the law that went into place by the end of 2024. Basically, any associations in buildings that are 3 stories or higher have to start collecting money to put aside in the reserves in the event that they need money for repairs. So that's where these assessments are coming from. And yes, you as an owner are responsible for putting that money aside. I mean, it does just make sense. The problem that we're seeing is that a lot of these associations kind of just swept this stuff under the rug up until they really didn't have a choice when this building collapsed. And now, especially in the Miami area, we're starting to see a lot of assessments that are in the 6-figure range.
Some South Florida condo owners are being hit with 6-figure assessments that are forcing them to flee.
The situation is leaving many unable to sell or afford the staggering cost. Local 10 News investigator Jeff Weinseer has the numbers.
There's been a couple news stories in Aventura and North Miami, and it's really affecting people that are on fixed income. And it's just become unaffordable for some people to keep living in these buildings.
Projects budgeted for his building include everything from consultants to roofing, concrete restoration, elevator modernization, termite treatment, and $700,000 alone for landscaping.
And even these smaller assessments, they add up. I have some friends who live in downtown Miami in a high-rise building, and they just recently got hit with an assessment for $18,000. And it's to renovate the pool and to build a sky lounge on one of the top floors of the building. Now, the funny thing is that not all the residents are allowed to use that sky lounge, but they're all responsible for putting the money in the reserves to pay for it. So you figure a 5-year assessment at $18,000 is an extra $300 a month on top of the dues that they're already paying. And that's just a small assessment of $18,000. And in a majority of these cases, these assessments, they can't be passed on to the new owners. So for people that are looking to sell their condos, they have to have these assessments paid in full before they even decide to sell them. Now, one thing that you should look for if you're buying a condo is how much money are in the reserves. Does the association have a healthy budget? And find out if those assessments do have to be paid by the seller before they sell, or if that's something they can try to pass on to you. Like I said, in most cases, that's not the case. But again, that's just something that a lot of these older buildings are going through right now. And unfortunately, it's just something that's been swept under the rug for the longest time. And in addition to these assessments, we're also seeing issues with condo insurance. Condo buildings or associations are having trouble getting insurance on these buildings. And I'm not talking about you as an owner paying for your interior insurance that covers the inside of your unit, but I'm talking about the building as a whole. And very similar to the insurance crisis on single family homes, I mean, this is due to things like excessive litigation, hurricane damage, and these new rules that are just bringing to light the actual stability of some of these buildings. Now, one of the biggest problems that condo owners are having right now because of these previous things that I mentioned are resale. And again, like I have mentioned in the pros and cons video, resale on condos, it can be tricky. Condos typically aren't as desirable as single family homes. For some people they are, and that's okay. But for the majority, they're not as desirable, and there's usually always an overabundance of them. And now people are just dumping their condos left and right in an already high inventory market. Just to give you an example, in June of 2023, we were sitting at about 4 months of condo inventory compared to June of 2024. We're at 10 months now. And I saw something recently in the Wall Street Journal that said something like condos that were built less than 30 years ago saw a 38% increase in sales price since 2020, compared to condos that were more than 30 years old saw a decrease by 12% in that same period since 2020. So what does that tell you? People are avoiding these older buildings if they're not up to standard and they're dealing with a lot of those issues that I mentioned before. But then at the same time, you just have people that are just flat out scared and they don't know what to expect and they're trying to get out before the storm hits. So what does this mean for you? Maybe you've been thinking about buying a condo, but now you don't know what to think. And you're wondering if they're actually still worth buying into. And the answer is it really depends on your goals. Because like I mentioned, there are ways to avoid what we've been dealing with. And if I could say one thing, it's just don't avoid buying a condo based off of a news article you hear. Don't even take this video and avoid buying one just because of what I say, because what the news says and what the media portrays, it does not tell the whole story. It's not every single condo association that's going through this right now, but it's just something to know and to be aware of. And if this is a decision that you are contemplating, I encourage you to reach out to us. My number and email are on the screen. Feel free to text or email, whatever you want to do, or you can skip the line. Go to the link in my description and book a Zoom call with me directly. I'd love to connect with you that way. I hope you got some value from this video. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.